The police are not your friends. Their job is not to be your friend. It is not to protect your rights. It is not to make sure your constitutional rights are upheld. It has nothing to do with that at all. In fact, quite the opposite. Police are trained to trick you into giving up your rights. They trick you by asking to search your vehicle and saying it's a necessity, or we suspect there's criminal activity. Suspicion is not a crime. Never has been, never will be. It is not a reason to give up your rights and consent to a search. Your right, as you are allowed to, is say no. You do not have my permission to search my home or my vehicle or my person. Just because you're in the wrong neighborhood or you're driving down the road and the police suspect you of doing something but have no proof or have no reasonable suspicion, not even suspicion, a reason, a legitimate, actual, factual reason to search your person, your vehicle, your home, or specifically, unless they have a warrant, they have no right to. It is not their right. You have to give up your right to privacy and allow them to do it. And they're very manipulative. They'll tell you, we'll take you to jail. We'll arrest you. We can do this, we can do that. But if you just let me search your car, or your house, or your person, we can forget about all that. Well, here's a simple fact. If they had a reason to arrest you, they would have done it already. You would already be in handcuffs. You would already be going to jail. They are looking for a reason. That's their job, to look for the reason. Don't give them one. You don't know what somebody may have left in your car, your home. You don't know what a passenger may have on them. It's up to you to protect your rights. If your passenger, let's say they have a bag of weed on them and the police pull you over and they stuff it in the seat real quick, and you give the police permission to search your vehicle and they find that weed, you can't just say, oh, well, it must have belonged to that guy. No, it's in your possession. It's in your vehicle. Or the least thought about thing is you dropped a prescription pill that you had from your doctor, say, 8 months ago, fell in between your seats. The police find it. Now they have reasonable belief that you have additional drugs in your vehicle. They will also cite you for having a pill out of its prescribed container. That's illegal. That's drug trafficking. If you have medication, it is supposed to be in your prescription bottle. Plain and simple. That's the law. But you made a mistake, dropped one, just took another one, or didn't even know you dropped it. And now, 8 months later, you're going to jail for it. You don't ever have to deal with a situation like that. All you have to do is say no. You are not allowed to search my vehicle, or home, or person. Do not give them the authority over you by giving them your right. You may say, well, I have nothing to hide. Go ahead and search. Well, you may not even know you had something to hide. What if you just bought a used vehicle and there were some weed pot seeds in the seats or on the floor or in the ashtray or something? You didn't even know what they were. Well, too bad. They're in your possession. You're going to jail. You're getting a ticket. They're towing your vehicle. Protect yourself. Say no. Cops all over the country have been pulling that little routine, especially on younger adults or teenagers, for as long as I can remember. It was pulled on me when I was young. I was really upset about it when I found out that, no, they didn't have a right to search my vehicle. And I had the right to say no. The proper procedure to do with a police officer is if they stop you for any reason, ask why you're being detained, listen to them, be polite. I mean, they are police. They do have a job. No reason to be rude to them. No reason to act like you know something they don't know, because they know it too. And that's why they're able to trick you. So just be polite, talk to them, see what they want. When they try to infringe on your rights, say no. That's all you have to do. Just say no. You do not, no, officer, you do not have the right to search my vehicle. I do not consent to you searching my vehicle. I don't consent. Keywords, I do not consent. Memorize them. Use them. Let them know we, the public, are informed. You don't have to tell them you're informed. By you saying, I do not consent, you've informed them. So officer pulls you over. Let's say he's giving you a speeding ticket. You provide all the documentation needed, your driver's license, your insurance card, registration, whatever it may be. He comes back and gives you a ticket and says, hey, would you step out of your vehicle? I'd like to search your car. Well, it's a two-part question. One was, would you step out of your vehicle? And you pretty much should say yeah. And the second part of the question is, can I search your vehicle? Well, remember, it's a two-part question. Sure, get up, step out of your vehicle, close and lock your door behind you, ask why you're being detained, and ask why you've been asked to step out of your vehicle. That's polite. And, if he says, I want to search your vehicle, say, well, I don't consent to a search of my vehicle. That's when they get tricky. That's when they say, well, if I arrest you, I can tow and search your vehicle and you'll be on your way to jail. And you say, well, is there a reason to arrest me, officer? Have I done something that requires for you to arrest me? Now you're putting them on the spot. Because, simply put, if they had a reason, and again, if they had a reason to arrest you, you would be under arrest already. Anything else is a threat from them. It's a way to trick you. A way for them to get over on you. Don't let them. Know your rights. Stand up. Use them. It's very important. Soldiers all over the world representing the United States of America have fought for our rights. They fight for our Constitution. They fight for the rights of others, to hopefully give them the rights to have the rights we have. Don't let them down. Don't just voluntarily give up your rights. Way too many people have paid the ultimate sacrifice for you to have them. It's important for you to use them. It's important for you to know them. There's a billion online references as to why you shouldn't allow or consent to a search without a warrant. The Constitution grants us privacy. We don't have to give it up. You are not mandated. You are not told to. Unless they have a warrant describing what and where and what they're looking for to be searched, they don't have a right to search. Of course, there's a few little kickers in there. Things like, if you're in the middle of a commission of a felony or you just committed a felony and there's very reasonable suspicion, reasonable being a very key word here, but walking down the street or getting pulled over for speeding is not reasonable suspicion to search. And you have to know that. It's extremely important. Many police officers I talk to about this, they pick that other side and say, well, what do you have to hide? And because you are not granting me permission to search, that creates a reasonable suspicion. No, it doesn't. The courts have upheld time and again that does not create a reasonable suspicion to search. Just like driving down the street in a 55-mile-an-hour zone, you're only doing 50 miles an hour, but you see a police officer ahead and you slow down. And you slow down to 45, and then a police officer comes up behind you and pulls you down over and says, well, you're reasonably suspicious because you slowed down when you saw a police officer, and that makes me suspicious that you might be doing something wrong. That's incorrect. That is them trying to trick you into giving up your rights. Something you should never, ever do. It's not worth it. It can only lead to something bad for you. That's its only potential outcome of it. There is no good outcome. And just imagine, that one real bad cop out of the million that are out there. Well, I don't know how many police are out there, but let's just say it's a million. So 1 out of a million is just looking to get you, or looking to make a score and make his record look better. And he plants something in your car or in your house. Don't give him the opportunity to do that. Protect yourself. I mean, you wouldn't let a known robber into your house to look around, would you? I mean, why? Here's a scenario. I asked someone close to me how they felt about this, and they said, just like many other people do, well, I have nothing to hide. If a police knocked on my door today and they wanted to search my home, I'd let them in. Let them search all they want. I have nothing to hide. I'm not doing anything illegal. And I was sitting there, and I paused for a second, and I said, that's a lot of VHS tapes you got down there. What do you have there, 200-300? He said, oh, about 450 tapes. I said, wow, that's a lot of tapes. How'd you get them all? Oh, well, I recorded, this from HBO, or that from Cinemax, or this from TV. And I said, so you're telling me you have 450 federal felonies sitting right there, and you'd be more than welcome to let a police officer in and search? Because if they're looking for something, you just showed them 450 felonies for illegal copying. Again, it seems like a petty crime. It seems like nothing. But if the police are knocking on your door and they're looking for something, they kind of want to get you for something, so they're going to look for anything. Just remember, Al Capone didn't go to jail for all the bad things he did. He went to jail for tax evasion. They found something. It wasn't what they were looking for, but they found something. They used it against him. And that is what they do. That's their job. We put them in business to do that job. But we also provided education to you and me and everybody, saying we have rights. And we should never, ever let anybody violate those rights by purposely giving up our rights, or even unwittingly giving up our rights. In fact, I'm of the opinion that the police need retrained. And that's a real long story. Right now, we're going through the militarization of the United States police force. It's beginning stronger ever since 9/11. It was happening before that. And just as a basic example, years and years ago, decades ago, military servicemen and women would get out of the military and they would almost have a guaranteed job with the United States Postal Service. Pretty common for what they did. There were many other lines too, but that's just one example. And, it was just a job. They did their job. They had a duty. They got paid well. They had good benefits. Well, things changed. They went to, when you get out of the military and you have all that military training, it became easier to become a police officer. So now we have gun-ho military personnel on our streets that may or may not even live in the city that you're in, but they're trying to represent the law, or their version of the law, through military tactics. They're hardcore. They're not real polite. They come to you like you were doing 57 in a 50-mile-an-hour zone. You are a criminal. You must have been a mass murderer. And, they just treat you subhuman, which they shouldn't do. They need to be retrained that you're dealing with people. People that have rights, emotions, feelings. When a cop pulls me over, and that happens quite often when I like to speed, and the officer comes to my door and says, hey, I got you doing 70 and a 55. Need to see your driver's license and registration. I hand it over. And I think to myself, well, he got me. No biggie. It's just a fine. I'll live with it. Points on my license, insurance goes up. It's a risk I took. But at least he didn't come to my window treating me like a criminal. Like a real criminal. Like I just robbed the bank down the street. I was like, hey, I got you, man. Good guy, bad guy. I got you. I'm like, okay, you got me. Here you go. That's the way they kind of need to be retrained. Of course, that may be a little extreme to be that polite, coming to your window and all that. But it shouldn't be the other way. And they are really going the other way. They are treating everybody as if they're a criminal. They're stopping people in New York City for walking down the street, putting them up against the wall, and searching them. Are you kidding me? This is America. This is not Gestapo land. They're not supposed to be the Nazis. They're not supposed to have border checkpoints. You know, you have cities like Lakewood, Ohio, or let's just go to Ohio, for example, now, that is using facial recognition software in their cameras. And we don't know if they're actually doing it on the street, but they're doing it when you get your driver's license. They're using your facial recognition to cross-reference it against all the databases out there, whether you're a terrorist or a wanted drug dealer, or heck, you could be wanted for missing an alimony payment. Who knows? They're going to come to your door that you gave the address to and arrest you. But now they're starting to use it in cameras on streets. They're scanning your license plates as you go into cities. They're tracking where you're at. They know who you are. So now, when you drive your car into a city and that scan comes through, and they see who you are, and they cross-reference it with all the other information they have. Again, you're not a criminal. You haven't done nothing wrong, so you don't really think twice about it. But now they know where you are, where you've been. That's really none of their freaking business. It's none. You have a right to privacy. They are abusing this right to privacy. That needs to stop. And let's just say that you borrowed a car. Hey, you borrowed your neighbor's car to go to work. And you know, cool neighbor, he lent you his car, or she. And you drive it across one of these little checkpoints they have, and now you have 40 armed cops ready to make a felony arrest on you. You still haven't done nothing wrong. You're just driving somebody else's car. It puts you in a situation of being shot, being killed. You don't know what's going on. I mean, people react differently to different situations. Some people might panic. Some people might not put their hands up, might hear an instruction wrong. They might even be deaf and not hear the instructions. I mean, we just saw the cops, they shot like, 300-400 rounds into a car of unarmed people up in Cleveland, Ohio. For what purpose? These people didn't pull a gun on them. They were no threat in that way. Their car was stopped. They weren't trying to run over the police. The police have gone too far. And again, not every officer is like it, and I'm not advocating anybody go out and take the law into their own hands or try to hurt an officer or anything like that. I'm advocating we have rights, and you need to use them so that we can all benefit from that, so that they know their rights end where ours begin, and they should be taught not to push that limit, because they work for us. They work for the citizens, and they work for our betterment also. Good luck. I hope you use your rights. A lot of people paid a price for them.